hopefully potentially new engineer here. So if you can have a roll call, please.
All right, Ms. Bourne.
Here.
Mr. Coolman is not here. Ms. Materney.
Here.
Mr. McCarthy.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
And Mr. Van Hoosen.
Here.
And Mr. Weber.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. With that, I'd like to call our engineer up to just kind of give an idea. As, per our charter, we do have to do a committee of the whole meeting in order to go through the appointment process of our new city engineer. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you don't mind just stating your name and just a little bit of talk to us a little bit about yourself.
All right, can everybody hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
These get kind of muffled. Name's Brian Thomas, grew up Arlington, Ohio, just south of Findlay, went to Cincinnati for college. Came back after college so I could kind of help Dad out on the farm. Got a job at a general civil engineering firm out of college, worked for them for 17 years. While I was there, I designed water lines, sewer lines, residential subdivision, business parks, industrial parks, sanitary pump stations. Did pretty much everything except for plant work. Tried to stay out of the plant work because I was never really fond of that. About 6 years ago, I was contacted by the safety service director with the city of Findlay about filling their engineering position. To be honest, hadn't really thought about it, but it seemed like it was an opportunity. My stepdaughter was getting ready to graduate from high school, so we didn't have to worry about that. She was going to be going away to college, so I figured if it was any time to start, that would be a good time to start. So moved into there, been there for 6 years. The engineer pretty much, I run the capital plan, I bid all the projects, whether they're water, sewer, road related, everything except for the city insurance. The mayor's office bids that. Do some in-house plan design, review all the plans that come through for city planning for the engineering part of it. Subdivisions, review them for the water, sewer, stormwater regulations. Like I said, city planning, anything that comes through city planning, give comments on that. And pretty much just try to keep everything moving. I was contacted by one of your employees and said, hey, do you know we got an opening? I said, no, I didn't. And everything that's kind of, all the big changes in my life the last 20 years, including meeting my wife, just kind of have popped up in front of me. When I was looking, couldn't find them, but when you weren't looking, boom, there they are. So I thought, well, let's at least hear them out and see what we can do about it, see what's going on. I came up, heard about the position. I definitely think it'll be challenging trying to rebuild a department, but I'm kind of looking forward to that. It's something you can say, I did that, this is mine. And just really look forward to the opportunity to bring what my experience, 17 years on the private side, 6 years on the public side, here to help you guys out. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell. So, I don't know if you've got any questions. I'm sure somebody will have a question.
Mr. Snyder, Deborah Bourne, Perrysburg City Council. I saw that you live in Findlay, and do you plan on moving to Perrysburg?
Probably eventually.
Okay.
My wife works just south of Bowling Green. She's been working at home for the last year.
Okay.
So at first, no, but I think that's a good thing because that gives us kind of time to look to see what's around. But she's looking here probably in 6 months. They'll probably call her back to in the office to work. When that happens, it doesn't really make sense for her to commute to BG and me to commute to Perrysburg. So yes, we will probably look to move. Whether that's in Perrysburg, in Bowling Green, somewhere in between, honestly, I can't tell you. But yes, we would be looking to move.
And the next question I have is kind of a fun one. Do you go to Dietz's Ice Cream?
Do I go to Dietz's Ice Cream? Yes. Do I go there very often? No, because my wife is diabetic and she would kill me.
Okay. But they do have wonderful ice cream. And then, of course, here we have Mr. Freeze.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Any other questions from?
Yes, I have some. Hi, Jay Attorney. Do you have your PE? I didn't notice it.
Yes, I have. I'm a PE and a PS with the state of Ohio, and I think I let it lapse now. I was a PS also with North Carolina.
I see in your packet you put down that your project, you're the local project administrator for ODOT funded projects. Do you mean for Findlay or the county? Because I know has their own LTAP.
Right, for the city of Findlay.
Yeah.
We went through and got the approval so that we can bid projects, we can locally let them. We're not in an MPO, but we're one of the largest cities, 7 cities that's not, so we get money from them for that. So we've gone through all the process so that we can bid the projects, design the projects, manage the projects, and then just have to send the paperwork to ODOT and they fund it, so.
Don't know who is in charge of that in District 1 or doing 2, but the engineer from, one of the engineers from 1 is the deputy director up there, district director up here. So you're well aware how LTAP works.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm also on the OREAL board, the Ohio Research for Local initiative that ODOT has.
Have you worked a lot with TMACOG? Because we do a lot.
I've gone to a couple of the continue education that they've had, but I have not dealt with them personally because we're not a member of TMACOG.
Okay.
So I know that's something that we're going to have to get, I would have to do. To be honest, that sounds a lot easier because depending on how the census information came back, I may have been responsible for trying to put one together for the city of Findlay. So it's always
Okay.
easier to kind of join one that's already put together than try to start your own.
Are then you're well aware of ODOT specs since you do
Yes.
and you use, what is it, MicroStation is what ODOT, they were using when I left.
Yeah, I've used AutoCAD and MicroStation. I haven't used it as much since I went to the city. The city of Findlay has AutoCAD, they don't have MicroStation, but I'm familiar with both.
AutoCAD's a little bit easier.
Well, it all depends. There's
It's
pros and
601.
cons, it just depends what you're used to using.
Have you ever had your ACI, your asphalt certificates?
No, I've not
Okay.
applied for asphalt certificate.
Just curious. That's all. And like I said, you're well aware of the ODOT specs, like 600 is incidentals.
Yep.
3, 4, stone asphalt, something like
Yep.
that. Okay. That's all I have.
Any other questions?
I'm just a little curious if you could comment about the structure. You mentioned building or rebuilding of the engineer's office. So how do you see that happening and evolving, and a little bit about your experience with that?
Well, it's a little difficult to say right now because all I know right now is I've been told that when I start, the staff would be a full-time inspector and a part-time administrative assistant. So not really being here to know. What I did in Findlay when I moved in, we're structured a little differently. So our payroll ordinance has a list of all the job positions. So I went through and I made a flow chart of all the open positions in the engineering department, whether they were filled or not, and then started thinking about, okay, how would I want to fill them? I tried to do the same thing here, but knowing that you had been outsourcing a lot of your inspection and the engineering part, and want to try to do some of that more of that in-house, I kind of have to see how much we can do in-house, how much would still have to be out, kind of to get a feel of, okay, where do you start? What do you need first? Do you need, somebody that can sit down to do CAD, just CAD work all day? Are you going to have enough to support somebody that just does CAD all day? Or are you going to look for somebody that does CAD and some inspection? What's the best fit?
Understood.
So right now, it's kind of hard to say. I see it as it's going to be a process. It's probably going to, I'd like to say, hey, next year I'm going to be standing up here telling you, hey, here we go, and here's a whole department, and everything's great. But I'd be lying to you. It's hard right now to find engineering employees. It is. It's tough for everybody. You got people on the private side. The larger firms are giving signing bonuses. When I graduated from college, an engineer getting a signing bonus was unheard of. So you have to find the right people. You have to find the people that understand that maybe you don't make as much money on the public side, but you have job stability. Sometimes it's harder to get that through. The people that are just graduating, all they see is the dollar signs. So it's really just trying to figure out, looking at what's there, and then trying to figure out the best way to incrementally move forward with it. I don't know, is that good enough?
That's fine, thank you. I just wondered how you were going to approach it. Appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead. No.
me? Okay. Well, hi, Brian. Thank you. Thanks for answering the call of your friend there. That's, we do know how hard it is to find find an engineer. I was curious, what contractors have you worked with in Northwest Ohio? And then how would you describe your relationship with them?
You just talking on the public side? You looking at public
Yeah,
and
for
private?
projects, for, the contract, for road projects and such. Just
Trying to run through.
some of the major,
The Miller Brothers, Underground Utilities.
a lot of the same ones that we use up here.
Yeah, there's some smaller ones. I don't know if Helms and Sons has done anything up here or not. They're starting to get around more. And then, of course, on the curb and the paving side, there's Newcomer Concrete. What are some of the other concrete places? M&B Paving. There are other contractors that have come up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable in making project presentations, not only to government officials, but also to the public at large?
I'll be perfectly honest, I don't like to do it, but yes, I'm comfortable doing it.
Okay.
We had a project that started out as a transportation alternative project. That once we got into it, it kind of turned into I like to call it reconfiguration of road lanes. People like to call it a road diet, but most citizens don't like the word diet, because when you hear the word diet, you're giving something up, you're losing something. So I always call it a reconfiguration of lane width. And that, to be honest, I personally sat down and replied to over 300 comments that we got from people, either for it or against it. Had public meetings, we were there for that. I did have, the consultant that was there to help, and the mayor was there to help. But yeah, we do that all the time.
And when we have homeowners that are up in arms over something, that
I get calls
you're a first defense here.
Yeah, I get calls, there's water in my backyard.
Okay.
When you get 7 inches of rain in 15 minutes and somebody says, hey, there's water in my street, there's never been water in my street. Well, yeah, there's water in every street when that happens. So yeah, I get those calls now. I'm not saying that, I always try to tell the citizens in Findlay, and I'll do the same thing up here, I'll listen to any complaint. I'll listen to anything about any topic, but that doesn't always mean I can give you the answer that you want.
Sure.
I'll listen to what you want, I'll listen to what you have to say. I'll do what I can to get you an answer, but you may not always like the answer. And a lot of people seem to at least appreciate that you're willing to listen to them. Sometimes you have to agree to disagree. Sometimes they aren't happy with agreeing to disagree, and at that point you just have to try to do the best you can to try to make as many people as happy as you can.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
We still open for,
So for questions.
yeah, Brian, I just had a question. Have you ever been involved in projects where you were supervising or responsible for it that ended up in litigation? That wonderful world we all like to go to?
Thankfully, no.
Oh, good.
I've been responsible for projects, either through the design, I've done inspection on projects, but I've never had any that have gone to litigation, no.
Okay. Good for you. Yeah, that kind of way, yeah, I agree.
Not even by the project, the company that you hired to do? I have one more question. Thanks, Mark. Are you familiar with the different wetland classifications and when a ditch is also considered a wetland?
To be perfectly honest, it's been a while, but I used to be familiar with all that, so yeah, I'd have to go back and refresh my memory on stuff, but yes. We've put business parks in areas where there were wetlands, and we've done had to do mitigation
Right.
plans and all that stuff.
It's just, can carry a lot of penalties if you screw that up.
Yep, that's something you don't want to screw up.
Exactly. Thank you.
I try not to screw up anything, whether it's big or small.
It's a good thing.
Any other questions from council?
Well, I was just, Brian, in your experience at Finley, did you use any of these contract systems where you give a bonus if they finish early or penalty if they finish late? Is that something that you've had experience with down there? I'm interested whether the city itself does that.
We have not at the city, no. I know ODOT has done that. We haven't. So no, I don't have any experience on that part. But that, you know, we put together all the contracts for all the projects also, and we pretty much have a boilerplate one that we use that's been approved by our law director. So it's pretty much, you know, change this project stuff here, change this, change this. We have done some design build projects, but stuff with incentives, no, we haven't done that.
Interesting. Okay, I was just kind of picking your brain as to what Findlay is doing.
Yeah.
Because it's a growing jurisdiction. I mean, there's a lot happening down there.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it, but sometimes change is hard. And when you say that, or, you know, sometimes people say, well, what's wrong with the way you're doing it now? You know, we've never had any problems now, why do you want to change it? Same thing about 3 or 4 years ago. I got it set up with the online bidding, so we do it all online now, which is a big help. The contractors appreciate it. It saves the city money because we don't have to print extra sets of plans and bid books. It's all online. Anybody can download it. Same, you know, it's all the same. And then when you have the bid opening, we go in the conference room with the projector and the screen, pull up the website, hit fetch bids, boom, there's the list. Get bid tabs, hit print, there's the bid tab. You can click post to the website and all the contractors can get on and see it. So they enjoy it also. We haven't had any, I think there's been one project in the last 4 years we've had anybody show up to the bid opening for, because they can all sit at home on look on their phone or do whatever. And it gives them the opportunity also, they can change their bids up until right there when the clock hits, you know, so.
So you were doing Zoom calls before, Zoom calls.
Well, it wasn't quite Zoom calls, but, you know, and I got a little bit of pushback on that because, you know, what's wrong with the way we were doing it? And I said, well, there's nothing wrong with the way we're doing it, but, you know, I sit there when we had the chemical materials bids that we do every year. You know, we bid all the chemicals in the water plant, all the chemicals in the sewer plant, police and fire uniforms, you know, services for the elevators, cleaning, all of that. And I literally sat there for an hour. They would hand me a thing, I'd open it up and read numbers. And I said, now imagine instead of an hour, I can do all that in 10 minutes. And it costs the city no money to set it up. That's why I want to do it. There's nothing wrong with what we're doing, but there's a more effective way to do it that leaves the employees open then to do other stuff.
I'm hearing no additional questions at this time, so thank you, Brian, for coming in and talking, and hopefully we'll have the vote at the council meeting here this evening in under an hour.
Nobody even asked me what my favorite color was.
There's some questions I could go in on too, but
No, that's okay, I'm good.
I'm sure the law director can tell you on one of them.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, hearing, if without any objections, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion made to adjourn?
Yes.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So we are adjourned.